And if you have any questions as I'm presenting, this is pretty informal, so feel free to put them in the chat. And then at the end, I will stay on as long as anyone has questions. So if you want to ask them privately or, at the end, you can unmute or still put them in the chat. So again, thank you for coming. I am Gina Kugler. I am the graduate coach at Greenbush Virtual Academy, and one of the things I love to do the most is help students plan not only for high school and graduation, but also for after high school. So what we're talking about today are, assuring that you get your credits that are required during high school, but we'll also talk about what are some of the things you can do while in high school that are going to better prepare you for your life after you graduate. So this is designed, anyone is welcome, but especially for freshmen and sophomore students. So if you don't mind, if you'll put in the chat whether you're ninth grade or 10th grade, or if you are another grade, that's fine. You can put that in there. The reason that I say that is because the state has made some changes to the graduation requirements, and they start with the class of 2028 and then will affect every class after that. So that is this year's sophomores and obviously the freshmen and then anyone coming after you. So we're going to talk a little bit about credits, and then we'll talk about the changes that the state made, what that means for you, and some things that you can be doing now really early in your high school career to help assure that you meet those graduation requirements. So 1 second here while I share my screen. And maybe somebody can give me a thumbs up to make sure you see it. You see with the credits. All right, we got it. So just a reminder that, in high school, every credit counts. So you've, been in high school now. This is your first year, or a lot of you look like your sophomore, your second year. I do want to stress that your high school, so your brick and mortar high school is the one who determines your graduation requirements. So the state sets what the minimum is, kind of the least that you have to do, and then most high schools add some requirements to that. So that's not uncommon for schools to require more than the state minimum. So the number of credits you need can vary depending on your high school. I would say the average is probably 25 credits. So most of you are working to earn at least 7 credits a year, maybe 8, somewhere between 7 and 8. And each class, as you probably know, is half a credit. So if you take English 10A, that's half a credit. English 10B is half a credit. So together they make a full credit of English 10. Um, and some of the classes are year long, some of them are semester, but again, every credit counts. So each class that you complete is working toward that total number of credits for graduation. So if you get a little bit behind in your credits, your freshman or sophomore year, you can still graduate on time, but that means you have less time to get your future credits. So that's why your advisors and your teachers would really stress to stay on target with your courses. So using your course map, understanding what's due each day and meeting that target that for most students is completing 2 classes every 4 weeks. As if you figure that up over the course of the school year from August to May, taking out Christmas break and spring break, then typically you could earn 8 credits a year, maybe 7. So that really keeps you on track for graduation. Now, one of the great things about virtual school is we're not limited to having you earn 7 or 8 credits a year. If you need to earn more credits, you can speed up that process and work ahead. So that's always an option. So this just kind of shows each semester, in ninth grade, if you stayed on track, finished 2 classes about every 4 weeks or every month, you got 7 to 8 credits. So by the end of your sophomore year, you should be at 14 to 16 credits. And then by 11th grade, 21 to 24. By 12th grade, then we'll will know how many credits you need to graduate, and often students take more classes than are required to graduate. So not uncommon to graduate with more credits than are required. That also opens up opportunities to do other things. So maybe you want to get some work-based learning, have some experience in a job. Virtual school is a great opportunity to do that because you have a little bit more flexible schedule. And so if you have your credits completed, or you're a little bit ahead of schedule, it gives you the opportunity to do that. It also gives you an opportunity to take concurrent credit classes. Maybe you want to take some college classes while you're in high school, and you can get high school credit and college credit. So that's a great way to prepare for your future if you're planning to take more credits or take college credits in the future if you're planning to go on to school. There's another great option open, especially your junior and senior year. If you are in vicinity, if you live close to a technical colleges have programs called Excel and CTE, and this allows you to take especially those hands-on classes. They are high demand, high paying career paths that you can take tuition free or much reduced tuition while you're a high school student. So this is a way that the state is really trying to promote going into these careers where we know we have a shortage of workers. And so again, if you're on track with your credits, that's a great opportunity for you to take advantage of some of those programs. Sorry, my phone is ringing in the background. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the minimum state requirements. So remember, your district likely has additional credits. And if you don't know what those are, you could look on your district website, or you could check with your academic advisor. They could let you know what your district specific requirements are. But for the state requirement, so all districts require these courses. I have the 26-27 requirements, so that would be our juniors and seniors this year. We're really going to focus on this 2028 and beyond. So the changes are, it used to be 4 credits of English. Now what the state has changed that to, because we know communication is a skill that we want all students to have in life, in their jobs. You need it in your courses. So now the state requirement is 3.5 credits of English, and then that fourth credit, that fourth half credit, is a credit of communication or speech. Now, your district could still choose to require 4 units of English and a speech class, because a lot of districts required speech before it was a state requirement. But you will need to have a speech class. That's the bottom line on there. The social studies requirements did not change. You still need 3 credits of social studies. So typically you'll take a social studies your freshman year. You may or may not your sophomore year. So usually freshman year or sophomore year, you'll maybe take world history, then sophomore, junior year, American history, and then often as a senior, sometimes as a junior, American government. And those are the 3 required social studies classes. Also, 3 science classes. That has not changed. You do need to have biology, you need to have a life science, and a physical science for sure. So you can kind of choose after that. Did you like life science more, or do you like, kind of the earth or physical sciences more, and then decide what you want to take for your 3rd science requirement. Also, 1 credit of fine art, that has not changed. Oh, sorry, I skipped math. 3 credits of math, that also has not changed. 1 credit of fine art, that is not a change. The PE requirement changed slightly. So it used to just say a full credit of PE. Now it is at least a semester of PE and a semester of health. So the change is that you have the semester of health. Part of that, is nutrition. We know that's really important these days, and also mental health. As we know, we need to understand how to work through and deal with stress and keep our minds safe too. So that's why they added the health. I think that's a good thing. Another change, so this is an addition, is that all students need 1 credit of STEM. So that's science, technology, engineering, math. So you could choose to take an additional advanced math class. Maybe you took algebra, geometry, advanced algebra, and now you want to take college algebra or trigonometry or statistics. That would fulfill that requirement. Maybe you've taken your 3 required science classes and now you want to take chemistry, physics, um, some of the nursing classes that we have. So those could fulfill that requirement. Then we also have, computer classes, some kind of career and technical classes. So there are a lot of things that you could choose to fulfill that requirement. My suggestion would be to choose something that you're interested in and something that's going to help you in your future. So, maybe more your junior, senior year, you have an idea what you want to do after high school. So, if you are planning to go on to future training, maybe you want to take some of those concurrent credit classes. Like we have a Comp 1 class, which is the beginning English class. We have college algebra, which is required for most college programs. So, you could take some of those classes to reduce the courses that you have to take when you actually get to college. Maybe you're deciding to go to a technical college and you want, a hands-on career. You want to do welding, electrical work, auto body repair. So maybe you choose a career and technical class that's going to help you get some knowledge or some skills for the future. Other additions, a semester or half a credit of financial literacy. This again is a class that a lot of schools were already requiring, but if they weren't, it is a requirement now. I think that's a great addition. This is about managing your own money. They'll talk about investing, credit, risk. So, really topics that you'll need to know to help you be more successful later in life. So, I think that's a great addition to talk about how to manage your own money and create a budget. And then the last thing is 4.5 electives. And again, we hope that you will choose courses that are interesting to you, that will help you maybe explore what careers you might be interested in, or if you know a career that you're interested in, take something in that field so you can see, is it a good fit? So you can see on the changes since they added STEM, they added speech, they added financial literacy, that just lowered the total number of electives for 2028 and beyond, where before it was 6, now it's 4.5. So this didn't change the number of credits, it just slightly changed what those credits are that you need to take. The one other change or addition is in addition to the courses that are required for graduation, the state has added what they call post-secondary assets. And the thinking behind having a post-secondary asset is these are things that are, again, going to help you prepare for future success. And so there is a whole list of things that you can do to complete post-secondary assets. You need to have a minimum of 2 by the time you graduate. Hopefully you will get more, and that is great, but a minimum of 2. And as you look at this list, many of them, maybe will start your sophomore year and kind of be more junior and senior year. Most schools offer the ACT, which is a test to kind of see, are you on track grade wise with your core classes, and are you ready for college level work? So if you are a student that is college bound, I do recommend that you take the ACT. The state offers that for free for all juniors. So we're going to work with your district, or you could also contact your high school counselor in your brick and mortar building to find out if they do offer that free test for juniors and when it is, and make sure you get signed up for it. You can also sign up on the ACT website. It's a national test offered on Saturdays throughout the year. So you can also register yourself, and I'd be happy to help you with that. I usually recommend that students wait until they're at least a junior to take that, because the more academic courses that you take, the better you're going to do on that test, because that really is testing your academic knowledge and college readiness. WorkKeys is another test that is offered for free by the state, often in the junior year or senior year. So we'll be working with your districts again to let you know when that is offered. I really love this test because you actually work out real world problems. And so it is very much tied to what are your skills and then which careers align to your natural skills. If you score a silver or higher on the WorkKeys, that can be a post-secondary asset. I kind of skipped on the ACT. If you score a 21 or higher, that's a post-secondary asset. You will start taking state assessments. In fact, you should have received an email not too long ago checking to see if you're planning to take those virtually with us or go in person to your district. If you're comfortable going into your building, I would recommend you do that, just so you don't have to worry about the technology part of testing virtually. Your building will have that all set up. But so really think about that, because it is important that you do your best on the state assessments, because this can count as a post-secondary asset. If you score a 3 or higher, then that's one of your assets. And that's true of every test that you take. So math, social studies, English, if you scored a 3 or higher on at least 2 of those, you'd have your 2 post-secondary assets. So it really is important that you do your best on that, not only to show your skills and so that, it shows that we're doing our jobs in teaching you, but also it can count toward your graduation requirements. If you are thinking about the military, you'll be taking the ASVAB, and if you score whatever score is required for the branch that you're interested in, that can count as an asset. We will have some different options for what they call the senior exit interview or senior project in the senior year. This will be tied to, what are the things that you've done in high school? What career are you interested in? And then, what are your plans for the future? So we'll have steps and instructions for completing that if you want to use that for an asset. If you complete I put State Scholar here, it's actually called the Regents Curriculum, which really isn't much more than the required curriculum. It does require algebra, geometry, and advanced algebra, which likely are your 3 math classes that you're taking anyway. And then for the science, one of your science has to be chemistry or physics. And then if you don't score at least a 22 on the math portion of the ACT, you would need a 4th year of math. So if you took and you can take the ACT more than once, but if you didn't have that score, maybe take it your junior year, and then if you needed to, you could take that 4th year of math to complete that curriculum. That curriculum is recommended, not required, but recommended if you are college bound, because it's going to best prepare you for college level work. We do not offer advanced placement classes. We're not able to do that virtually, but if you choose to take an AP class, if your district offers them, if you score at least a 3 or higher on that AP exam, that is also a post-secondary asset. And then, so those for the academic assets. And again, it doesn't matter which 2 you complete. It can be any of these. They also then have what they call career and real world. The first one there is 40 hours of community service. I'm going to say if it was me as a virtual student, I would be jumping on this now. As a freshman or sophomore, this is something you could at least start, maybe complete this year. So think about, spring break is coming up. If you don't have plans, you could probably knock out 40 hours over spring break or over the summer, or do 10 hours a year from now if you're a freshman to senior year. But that's a pretty easy one to attain. So keep track. If you scooped snow, shoveled your neighbor's walk, if you rake their leaves, you do something, for an organization in your community, keep track of your hours. So keep the date that you did it, how much time you spent, and then, if at all possible, have whoever you did that for or whoever was supervising it just sign off on it. I do have a form I can send you, but as long as you have that information, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. You can create your own form if you want to. But start tracking that community service. That's one that you could have done and be assured that you have finished. And you could start it now. So that's a great thing about that one. We'll talk a little more about the industry recognized credentials. These are very specific. The state has set what these are. And honestly, there aren't very many that you can achieve completely virtually. The most common one, I would say, is getting your CNA, your certified nurse assistant. That is something, if you're close to a facility that offers that, most technical colleges do. I could help you, find out when the classes are. Some of the coursework might be online, but you would be required to do clinical work, so in-person work, so that they can assure you have those skills. So there are a lot of industry recognized credentials. I can show you a list of what those are, but those would require some in-person work because they're often hands-on skills. If you are a Boy Scout or Girl Scout, if you attain your Eagle or Gold Scout, that counts. Same with 4-H, the Key Award. Being involved in 2 high school athletics or activities. Right now, the guidance I'm getting from the state is saying those have to be CASHA activities, which would only be available in person. But if you are in a sport at your school or involved in debate or forensics or the K's Club, or some music, those are under CASHA. I am going to do a little more checking to see if we can count some of our virtual clubs, but right now I'm being told they have to be CASHA activities. Junior ROTC, if your school offers that, that would count. And then another one that you can be working on now is 95% attendance in high school. So this is cumulative over your entire high school career. But for us, that means if you log in every school day, then you have 100% attendance. So this is one that is very achievable. The seal of biliteracy, that would also have to be in person. And CTSO state officer, that would be in person, if you were a member of a career and technical organization like FFA, FCCLA, in your building. And then youth apprenticeships and work-based learning. Again, these are very specific programs set up by the state that currently we don't have available virtually. We may work on that, but there's a lot of paperwork and that is governed by the state. So we can work on that. I'm just going to put my phone number and email. So if you have questions, and I can put it in the chat too, I'll give you just a second to jot that down.
And Gina, we did have a question in the chat. How would I go about finding a youth apprenticeship?
So there is a website, the youth apprenticeship website that I can give you. I just attended a conference last week and asked about this to see if it was possible for us to set this up virtually. And what we would need is an employer who agree to sign up, if they're not already, to be a site. And so that means the employer, it's not just that they are going to employ you, it's that they're agreeing to be a mentor to you. So you would fill out paperwork, setting some goals for your workplace experience. They would have to do with communication, relationships in the workforce, employability skills, showing up on time, communicating if you're sick, those kinds of things. And then also how you're going to use your academic skills, what you're learning in your classes, and apply that to your work. So that could be communication, it could be math somehow in the job, but you would keep timesheets, you would be evaluating yourself, your mentor would be evaluating you. So really how we would have to start it is first find the employer that would be willing to do that. And then I have a contact at the state that would help us get that rolling. And the reason that it's hard virtually is because we're spread out all over the state. And so unfortunately, I don't have the contacts with local businesses for where you might be. So we kind of have to do that virtually. So if you have an employer and you're interested in getting that set up, let me know and we can do some talking with your employer.
I can help with that too. Clarence is a student at KCK. So
Okay.
Clarence, if you're interested in looking for an employer, let me know. Send me an email and we'll work together on that.
Yeah, that would be great because I actually thought that might be a geographic area maybe to start with, since we do have staff right there. I'm going to share really quickly just so you can get an idea. I don't know whether you can even read this. Let me make it a little bigger. Is that even readable on your screens? Yay, nay. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, I can see it. So this is the list when we were talking about the industry approved credentials. Again, it's a very specific list. It is subject to change. The way the state decides which programs make the list is, again, they're looking at the high demand, high wage occupations. So you can see commercial driver's license. You do have to be 18, but it is at a much reduced cost if you get your CDL before you graduate. So there are training programs for that. Again, certified nurse aide, that's one of the most common ones. Often you can get this training for free if you do it while you're in high school. So that can save you a lot of money. I am looking for some online courses where we could offer this computer support specialist and get these Cisco certifications. So I'm hoping we will have that set up through a college class. Oh, and I think I skipped that somehow on the certification, or the post-secondary assets. Another post-secondary asset is if you complete at least 9 credit hours, which typically is 3 courses of college credit, then that is a post-secondary asset. And again, we do have concurrent credit options. So those are courses that are taught by our GVA staff. They are for college credit. So they are college level classes, and they would count towards your college degree, but you would also get high school credit. The most common ones right now, we have psychology, which is required for most programs, a speech class, that also could probably count for your high school speech. Comp 1, which is that beginning level English class, college algebra, which is required for most programs, and we have a lot of other math classes, contemporary math, statistics, trigonometry. So a lot of options for post-secondary credit. We also have a computer programming class that is completely free for high school students. You get 3 hours of college credit. It would complete that STEM requirement. So you get the class that you need, and then it's 3 college credit hours for free. And then if you would take 2 more college classes, you'd have a post-secondary asset with 9 credits. So you'll see a lot of these others. They have to do with automotive, welding, carpentry. So to get these certifications, you would likely have to go to a technical college, which again, if you're on track credit-wise, a lot of technical colleges will accept part-time students while they're in high school, usually your junior or senior year. But we have students who, when they graduate high school, they're actually graduating from tech school at the same time. So if you're looking to improve your skills just for yourself to be able to do some of those things, or especially if you're looking at some of these things as a career, that is a great option because the tuition is either free or greatly reduced if you take those courses while you're in high school. Firefighting, getting your firefighter one certification, there's some food service things, dental assistant. EMT is another, this is a tough program, but this is another one that is pretty common that high school students will take. And again, much reduced rate if you take that while you're in high school. Phlebotomists, those are the people that take blood, usually in hospital labs, medical records, a lot of the automotive, aircraft things. So just wanted to give you an idea of what the credentials are, but also understand that, some of these would have, and most of them are going to have an in-person component because they're hands-on. Yeah. Check the chat for other questions. Yes, so that's all that I see in there now. So again, the assets, I would start now, community service. And then, especially if you're a sophomore, that state assessment and do the best that you can on your math and science state assessments. Because if you score a 3 or higher on both of those, then you've met your post-secondary assets.